Hello, and welcome to another Legacy video. This time I'm playing something totally different and in some ways like a little bit wild. This is a mid-range blue-red fairy wizards deck. Um, Thraben, you played something on the channel like a while back. It was quite a bit different. A couple people have played with like this kind of a shell before, and I just thought I really wanted to play this. I've been playing it a bit on Magic Online, and I really wanted to record a video of it and just sort of display kind of like what this archetype can do. Um, this archetype is not like fully fleshed out at all. I think there's a lot of room to experiment here, but the key card that makes this powerful is the new card from the Lord of the Rings set, which is Flame of Anor. And so this is an instant, and it has three possible modes. And if you control a wizard as you cast the spell, notably as you cast and not as you resolve it, so it doesn't matter if the opponent like kills the wizard in response or something, you get to choose two of the modes instead of just one. Um, Target player draws two cards, destroy an artifact, 5 damage to a creature. So like you can destroy an opponent's creature and target yourself to draw two cards, a clean 3 for 1 for 3 mana. And that's really powerful. The floor on this card is an instant speed divination. You just draw two cards, or it's a 3 mana removal spell, do 5 damage to a creature, or destroy an artifact. That's nothing to be excited about, but like that's the floor. And the ceiling is much higher. The ceiling is a 3 for 1 or a 2 for 1, as long as you control a wizard. And it's an instant, so you can cast it at the end of the opponent's turn, you can cast it in response to something. And most decks have something that you're interacting with here. They either have an artifact or they run creatures that are, 5 or less toughness. And in the worst case, it's a divination. I guess that's the answer. So the deck, in order to play this, has to run wizards, as you might expect. And this is where the deck can go a couple different routes. One wizard that I think is a clear include is Sleep Cursed Fairy. I feel like all the strongest draws of the deck start with a turn 1 Sleep Cursed Fairy. This is a 1 blue 3/3 flyer, ward 2, and it has an untap ability, but it enters the battlefield with 3 stun counters on it. So, this is not a Delver in the sense that like you're not racing somebody with this. If you play this on turn 1 and you don't, pump mana through it, the earliest you're attacking is like turn 4, which is, an attack for 3 is not nothing, but like that's nothing to be excited about in Legacy, I guess. Notably, Delver of Secrets is a wizard on the front side, but not a wizard on the back side. So you could play Delver. I'm not playing Delver. Um, I've seen some people build this deck as more of like a tempo type deck. Maybe they're running Daze, maybe they're running Wasteland, but I view this deck as more of a mid-range deck. So I'm still running a little light on lands, and I'm still running things like Bolt and a couple 1 mana pieces of interaction like Spell Pierce, but I'm running a little bit more of a mid-range game plan. I'm running a full suite of Spell Stutter sprites. Um, I'm going to talk about Fae of Wishes in a little bit. So notably, Sleep Curse Fairy is a fairy and a wizard. Spell Stutter Sprite is a fairy and a wizard. So if you have a Sleep Curse Fairy and you cast a Spell Stutter Sprite, like they're probably, one of the issues with Spell Stutter Sprite is if the opponent kills it while its ability is on the stack, and then the countering a spell fizzles. But if you have a Sleep Curse Fairy, it's very hard to kill a Sleep Curse Fairy with Spell Stutter Sprite on the stack. If they've cast a spell, they don't have enough mana to plow and pay the ward on Sleep Curse Fairy and kill Spell Stutter Sprite. Like that's kind of unlikely. So Sleep Curse Fairy, a fairy, it's very hard to kill. There's pretty much no way that the opponent kills this without going down on mana. Like they either had to spend 3 mana to kill it, or maybe they have an edict effect or something like that. But it's kind of hard to trade with this profitably in terms of mana. And it's kind of hard to do it without dedicating almost a whole turn cycle, like a plow with the ward or bolt with the ward or something like that. It has a couple other wizards. Snapcaster Mage. In the late game, you can get to Snapcaster plus Flame of Anor, which is just a total blowout. That's like a 3 for 0. That's kind of magical Christmas land a little bit, but it does happen. I'm running 1 Magus of the Moon in the main deck, which again, it's a wizard. And I'm running 1 Cavern in the main deck. to name wizard, but mostly this deck just tries to play basics. I'm running both a basic mountain and 4 basic islands on top of 4 volcanic islands. So the mana base is really stable, other than it's a little light in terms of mana, so 18. But no wastelands. I'm trying to make stable mana that sticks around and just get to 3 mana in order to cast Flame of Anor. It rounds out with Lorien Revealed. Again, that's kind of how I'm able to trim on mana. Between Lorien Revealed, Ponder, and Brainstorm, that kind of gets you there. 4 Force of Wills, and 3 Murktide Regents. This is kind of my key card to close the game. You can close the game with a Sleep Curse Fairy or 2 or a Snapcaster or something like that, but Murktide closes the game real fast. So that's kind of the main deck, except for Fae of Wishes. This is a card that I've only lately been testing in this deck, but I actually think it might be okay. So I'm not sold on this 100%, but I wanted to try it out. The reason why I think it's okay is, one, it's a fairy and a wizard, so it's got both the relevant types that matter in the deck. 2, it's kind of a 2 mana 1/4 flyer. Like, that can just like clog up the board, stop bowmasters, stop delvers, stop DRCs from attacking, unless they want to like trade both the a block and a bolt. So that's kind of like the right size of where I want this to be. I don't sort of anticipate I'll ever discard 2 cards to return Fae of Wishes to its owner's hand. Like that seems very rare. But the other thing is sometimes this deck gets into like grindy matchups against Beanstalk decks or Uro type decks, or sometimes Uro and Beanstalk type decks. And this is where like you get into having a ton of mana and really you're just trying to play for value. And Fae of Wishes plays very strong for value without sort of sacrificing an early game. So against like the Delver type decks, maybe you just play a 1/4 flyer. Against an Uro type deck, you get to 4 mana, you cast Granted for Surgical Extraction, or something like that. So you have kind of like a powerful mid game for this. I actually expect that this card will be sided out in a lot of matchups. I think it's kind of like a game 1 card, maybe. I'm not 100% sure, but I sort of expect it might be sided out because, once you've sideboarded in the key cards for the matchup, what are you going to cast Granted for? The exception to this, maybe I could see leaving it in against Delver where you want it as just a blocker. But against, I think, a lot of decks, I think you're probably siding it out. In the sideboard, notably, Fae of Wishes can't get a creature card. So the only creature we have in the sideboard is a Hull Breacher. That's for the Beans decks. We have a Narset for the Beans decks. We have Flusterstorm and Force of Negation, kind of for combo decks, as well as Surgical Extraction. Null Rod is also for the combo decks. A couple Red Blasts and Pyroblasts. But Granted has a bunch of random targets. You can get a Meltdown. You can get Kozilek's Return, which is for like Death and Taxes and a couple other like go wide type decks. A casting Granted for Pyroblast or Granted for like a Meltdown on 0 or Granted for a Surgical Extraction is not like crazy rate. Like you're casting a 4 mana spell, you're getting a Surgical Extraction, which in many cases you can cast immediately. Like I feel like this is okay, and this deck totally gets to 4 mana. So I feel like this is semi-reasonable, and we'll find out. So I'm going to hop into a league, and we will see how this goes. All right, on the play against an unknown opponent. This hand's looking good. I'm in kind of an awkward position. I can either ponder or hold up Spell Pierce, and I think I'm going to ponder turn 1. But this hand looks great. I have a wizard. I can eventually cast a Murktide. And turn 2, I can hold up both Spell Stutter Sprite and Spell Pierce. So I think that's the answer. And I'm just going to go for basics. Not really sure what I'm hoping to hit here. Force of Will wouldn't be terrible just to hold up something like that. I don't love this, especially with no other shuffle, would mean that I have to draw through all of this. And there's no third land drop. So I lean toward a shuffle here. Even though like I would love the Bolt. Like Bolt's not a bad card. I think I'm still going to any order this. And I got the Bolt, so that's good. And I'll just pass. So here I'm holding up nothing, but like the following turn, I'm holding up Spell Pierce, Snapcaster Mage, and Bolt. And that's pretty good. and I like that draw. So now, sort of like the best thing for me would be, I don't know, my opponent casting a 1-mana spell. I can sprite that. There's some consideration if they play a land and then like brainstorm, do I cast Spell Stutter Sprite? Probably not. But I'm going to just take no actions here. Hope to hit a land drop. Cantrip would work. It's a little awkward, but I'm going to pass. Kind of worried if this is a Beans deck. Opponent's just hitting land drops. Okay, bug so far. 2 mana, there's the Beans. We're going to Spell Pierce it. Opponent forces the Spell Pierce. I see no reason not to force back here. Like, this card will bury me. And I'll probably pitch the Snapcaster, which I'm like far from getting any value from. I'm going to let their force resolve on my Spell Pierce, and then I'm going to force. Yeah, probably pitching the Snapcaster. There is some consideration to pitching like the Murktide. But I'm gonna pitch the Snapcaster here. Yeah. Is my opponent gonna force back? No. So no Beans. Yeah, Beans, that's one of this deck's kind of bad matchups. Brainstorm's a good draw. I like this. Opponent can't Bowmaster me here. So let's start with the Brainstorm. Mystic Sanctuary is a little awkward, but, you know, I'll take it. I think I want Flame of Anor on top, and then I'll put the Murktide underneath that. Although there's some consideration, like I want to hold up the Bolt. I don't need the Flame of Anor right now. I can't cast the Sleep Curse Fairy for a little bit. I am going to have 5 cards in my graveyard, which I don't hate. I could just jam the Murktide. Maybe the answer is put the Spell Stutter Sprite back. You know, against the Beanstalk decks, like Lightning Bolt's just kind of not a very good card. I'm going to go like this. Play the Mystic Sanctuary tapped and pass the turn. Because I think it's unlikely that I need the Bolt next turn. Or, you know, yeah. Like, sure, my opponent can Bowmaster me, but I don't have a draw spell coming. Not yet, anyway. Opponent's pondering. I would snap off the Spell Stutter Sprite if this Mystic Sanctuary was an island. Although Spell Stutter Sprite goes up in value if you already have a Sleep Curse Fairy in play. Because it's hard to deal with both of them. Probably should have actually put the Bolt, or the Flame of Anor under the Bolt. That was probably a mistake. I could snap off the Murktide, but like I think it's safe to assume my opponent has a removal spell. So I'll try to bait out some removal on some other stuff before I try to finish the game with the Murktide. Opponent's got to be very confused here. And that's good. That's kind of what I want. I can counter Beans if they jam Beans here, although it's a little awkward. I lean toward just firing the Snapcaster here, or firing the Spell Stutter Sprite. Just shut off the cantrips. Opponent's going to daze it. Okay. Daze. Bug. So this is Bug Beans with Daze, it kind of looks like. An opponent, that land drop's kind of free for my opponent. I was not expecting Daze from a Beans deck. That's okay. Are they going to put another Beans? More Beans. I don't like that. I could force pitching the Murktide, but I think Murktide's kind of my game plan here. I don't love it. I don't love it. going to be hard to keep up with that. So here I draw the bolt, and I'm holding up Flame of Anor. I think, again, not firing the Murktide right away, although there's some risk of maybe you just fire the Murktide and hope that they play something like Murderous Cut or something. Could fire the Flame of Anor, but I think there's no point. I'm just going to untap the Sleep Curse Fairy. Playing slow against Beans, though, not generally where I want to be. I don't hate that, but I think I'm going to cycle it just to get another land going. So I'll cycle the Lorien Revealed. If this is the Pokemokey variant of this, I think they're on one Stifle. Murderous Cut? It is a Murderous Cut. All right. I actually am going to let this go. I don't really see any reason to stop it. Like, I'm going to make my opponent pay. I guess I could just cast Flame of Anor here, which I don't hate. I'm going to let them pay. Yeah, I'm just going to cast the Flame of Anor just to draw 2. I think they're not on multiple days. Maybe they're on 2, but they're not on 4. Just going to draw 2. Then maybe I'll force it if there's some reason to do that. The opponent has force. I'm kind of behind here. I think this deck's main win condition is Uro, and I think they're mostly on just Uro and I think I'm going to let the Sleep Curse Fairy go. I don't really see any reason to protect it with force. But I think they're really on like 4 Murktides, 4 Uros, and that's like it. Another Beans. Yuck. I'm going to let it go. They're going to be so far ahead if they cast like a Force of Will here. There's a Wasteland. That's okay. Yep. That's fine. And I don't want to brazen that. So I think my plan here is like Snapcaster into Spell Pierce or Spell Stutter Sprite. Again, just don't want to fire off the Murktide quite yet. I might just be holding it too long. That might be a mistake. So I'm going to... Yeah, I'm kind of... Let's see here. I wonder if the action here... I might... Like, if I Snapcaster into Brainstorm and the opponent has Bowmaster, I'm just in a world of hurt. I might just pass. And I'll Ponder. Ponder's better. If the opponent has Bowmaster, I'll bolt it. No Bowmaster. Okay, I like this. And I kind of actually don't mind the Fae of Wishes. I kind of like Ponder, Fae of Wishes, Scalding Tarn, no shuffle, play the Scalding Tarn pass, just make my land drops, and, you know, if the opponent plays Uro, I can play Granted into Surgical. Although if they have a Force of Will, I'm just in for a world of hurt. Okay, this though, yeah, I think I'm gonna actually Snapcaster into. Oh no, Spell Pierce doesn't do anything here. Okay, I'll let it go. I think the Spell Stutter Sprite's just a little dangerous, and I'm kind of want to hold it to protect the Murktide if I can, like from a Sword Supply. They're not running Sword Splashers. What would their removal be? Probably Shieldred's Edict. Boy, I think I'm kind of misplaying here a little bit. If I play the Spellstutter Sprite though, and they just like hit it with a okay, I'm gonna actually just draw the Fae of Wishes, and I'm gonna cast it. I don't think I want. There's a Ponder underneath here, but I think I'd rather just cast the Fae of Wishes or cast Granted. See if the opponent forces here. They're gonna just daze. Another one. Okay. Really wish there was some answer to beans in blue and red, but there is almost nothing. I now can Snapcaster with Brainstorm and have a Bolt backup. So I'm actually gonna do that. I'm gonna again Lorien Cycle. I'll get a Bulk and just play it, pass the turn. So at the end step, I can Snapcaster into Bolt, or Snapcaster into Brainstorm. All right. I mean, we cast it. See what my opponent does here. Brutal. Okay. So that's 2 forces gone. This is fine. So 2 wastelands. There's a Mystic Sanctuary. Getting Force of Will back on top. Yeah, this game might just be over. I'm going to Spellstutter Sprite that. Try to bait out a Bowmaster or something. Okay, nothing. Just straight up countered. Oh, opponent doesn't know the trick. They could have gotten their Ponder and killed my Fairy. So this deck is kind of like this deck's Nightmare matchup. But notably, my opponent's Force of Will is on the top of their deck. And so I'm actually just going to jam a Murktide here and hope for the best. And it's going to be full value. So Ponder, I'll get the Brainstorm, Force of Will, and Spell Pierce. So we'll just stick a full value Murktide. And if the opponent forces this, I'm probably just screwed. Wow. So even if I force the Force of Will here, they draw the new Force of Will before the Murktide resolves. I think this game's over. I'm going to just concede. Oh, brutal. Well, let's play it out. I mean, might as well do it. But I'm pretty sure this is just over here. So opponent just drew that Force of Will. And then they can force again. Yep. Okay. This game's over. Brutal. Maybe I misplayed by being too careful with the Murktide and letting them get too many beans going. But yeah, that was rough. I don't hate Counterbalance here. I don't know if Flusterstorm's any good. Their mana base was a little bit of a disaster, but I'm hesitant to overboard. I think these are the cards that I am interested in. Sorry, all these. Like these are cards that have applications. The bolts I kind of am priced into playing. because of Bowmasters, which is kind of a problem. I think you still want the Spell Stutter sprites on the play. I might be able to board down on them on the draw. Flame of Anor is actually going to be a little bit weaker. Like, the only target it has is a weak Murktide or a Bowmaster, and casting Flame of Anor against Bowmasters actually doesn't work the way you want it to, because you draw the cards and deal the 5 damage at the same time, so the Bowmaster triggers even if you target the Bowmaster for 5 damage. I might trim on a Spell Stutter sprite though, and I think the Fae of Wishes can probably go, depending on how many of these I bring in. I also probably want to trim on forces, or even just cut them entirely. Like, other than countering the beans, like, there's nothing I really want to force. Like, I'm happy for them to force my things as long as they don't have beans in play. I might be able to trim one lightning bolt, but I'm almost hesitant to do it. I think you want all this stuff, and I think you probably do want stuff like Unlicensed Hearse just to keep their graveyard down. I think Blood Moon might be able to sneak a game, and I don't hate the Pyroblasts. I could leave the Fae of Wishes to get like a Surgical. I don't know. It's a consideration. 45 seconds. I could go down a Flame of Anor for a Surgical. Let's try this. Yeah, I like this hand. Let's keep. So this has a Cavern into Sleep Curse Fairy. So we'll go Cavern on Wizard. Cast the Sleep Curse Fairy. Hope they don't have the beans. Although I guess I can counter the beans on 2 with Spell Stutter Sprite. They're just going to Thoughtseize me. Alright. Probably take the Spell Stutter Sprite here, but there's other options. Spell Stutter Sprite's a good take. Stops me countering the beans. Or not. We'll see how it goes. Let's see if they just jam a beans on 2. I will get them if they do. That would be ideal. Got them. I'm going to fetch Mountain here. And short of like Gut Shot, that's a hard counter. I'm not sure what kind of mass removal they have. Because there's not really a lot in Bug. Could run something like, oh, there's Deed. They could run Deed. I might hold back the Sleep Curse Fairy to sweat a Deed. I think the Pokemoki Bug deck, it is running Deed, so I think I'll hold back on that. No beans is good. Let's untap and start getting in for 4. I like that. But no need to fire it off now. They could fire off the Bowmasters here. If they do, I'll brainstorm in response. Shieldred's Edict. Okay, I will sacrifice the Spell Stutter Sprite. I might now fire off the Brainstorm because they don't have Bowmasters. Feels pretty good. They're going to fire off their own Brainstorm. I could Pyroblast this, but I feel like that's aggressive. I don't think that's necessary. I think I'd rather save the Pyroblast for, I don't know, something else. This is pretty good. I could cast the other Sleep Curse Fairy this turn. I think I don't need both lands. And the Bolt, probably don't need it. If I'm going to fire off the Ponder this turn, I don't need the Bolt as well. So let's put back the Bolt. And here I'll just cast a Ponder and cast a Ponder off Island. And then I'll probably just pass. I don't hate this. Let's put that back. Put this on top and put this in here. And then no shuffle. And I'll just pass the turn. So I have Flame of Anor coming next. So even if they cast like a Murktide would be a 6/6 if they cast it. That's actually pretty big. Is this another Beans? It's the Beans. Don't like that. Well, we're going to keep getting in here. And I'm considering the second Sleep Curse Fairy, because if they want to spend their turn, they'd have to spend their whole turn on a deed. I mean, it's not bad. But yeah, I'll cast it. If they have deed, they got me a little bit. Although that's, it's not the end of the world. And I am definitely shuffling in my upkeep. I don't want to draw the land under Flame of Anor, or the land on the top of my deck. Is this just a Murktide? It's a Murktide. So I could Pyroblast it here. So my options here are Pyroblast, plays into Veil, which is a problem. I'm going to Pyroblast it while it's on the stack. Let's see, they exiled. It's a full value, so it's going to be a 6/6. I think I am going to Pyroblast it on the stack. It does play into Veil, but if they force it, that's probably okay. Hydroblast. Okay. Do I want to play Flame of Anor into Daze? Not really. I'm going to just let it go, I guess. Not where I want to be. They got it. They can cast the Ponder. Murktide with the Beans backed up by Force of Will is always like the scariest thing possible. And Flame of Anor notably cannot hit. Let's see. I guess I can do this here because my opponent's tapped out. Let's see. I can't get anything. I can't get the Pyroblast back. So I think I'll just get a Volk. If I draw another fetch, I can fetch the Pyroblast. Or I can just do that. We'll put the Pyroblast on top of the deck. Yes. And I think I just want to draw it here and see if I can get in for my damage. Actually, I guess there's no point to not casting with two modes. Target player, I'll target myself, target this thing. And yeah, let's tap the island. This deck just, the Murktides are bigger than Flame of Anor. Oh, brutal. Okay. So it just kind of doesn't line up super well. Well, My opponent's got a 6/6 Murktide. I'm not attacking. They know I have a Pyroblast on top of the deck. There's a Ponder. Oh, I forgot to get the tune started. Should get the tune started. Yeah, this matchup really showcases the weakness of this deck probably more than anything. Sadly. I feel like Flame of Anor matches up poorly against Murktide, but pretty well against almost every other creature in the format. You know, I guess Uro also not so well, but like, you know, Constructs or Troll, you know, anything like that, it actually matches up pretty okay. It's not perfect against Orcish Bowmasters, but it's fine. Like, you just bolt the Orcish Bowmasters, or worst case, you know, it's a clean removal to something else. So my opponent, okay, they're getting in with the Murktide. I'm not blocking. If they just have Endurance, I'm going to be very sad. No Endurance. Well, curious to do it now. Wow. Could have got in quite a bit of extra damage. But yeah, this is quite bad for me. Oh, they didn't pay the ward. We will just yield to this till end of turn. This thing's going to be huge, which is a problem, but still not lethal to me. More beans. I'm going to yield to the end step. They wanted to cast the beans more than they wanted to actually kill my creature. Well, I will untap this, which I think I forgot to do the previous turn. Draw the Pyroblast. No need to necessarily fire it off. I'll tap like this and just untap the Sleep Curse Fairy. Okay, they are fetching for unknown reasons here. Brainstorm. Brainstorm's fine. They're going to go to 2 here, and then I have both Pyroblast and I can untap a Sleep Curse Fairy to chump the Murktide. Kind of interesting. And I'm not even going to fire off my Pyroblast here. Like, I will chump the Murktide if it attacks. Ponder's fine. I don't see any reason to fire off this Pyroblast at a Ponder. I mean, maybe, but they're going to need to cast whatever they want to cast with mana, so I feel like the Pyroblast still has value. Okay, so I have to chump in case they have something. So I guess actually I'll start with the Pyroblast and then I'll chump. So let's start with that. Let's just Pyroblast it. Destroy target permanent if it's blue. Opponent forces. They might have been fishing for that draw. Okay. And then I'll chump. And if they have something... Let's see what they got here. Like a Murderous Cut ends the game here. But if they do have like Shieldred's Edict, they can Shieldred's Edict after blocks. Okay, no, they just scoop it up here. Forgot about the untapped jump. I don't know what they... I feel like my opponent misplayed there a little bit. But yeah, playing a very strong deck. Definitely feel like my opponent misplayed a little bit. I don't hate the other surgical. Maybe that's correct. And even the Spell Stutter Sprite felt pretty good here. I'm also a little more willing to bring in like Force of Will and or Force of Negation on the play. I feel like Narset's a little worse on the draw. Maybe it's okay. Hull Breacher I feel is a little better. You can flash it in. Definitely like the Unlicensed Hearse. Because like most of their, first of all their win cons rely on the graveyard, and all their delve spells, like all their spells that are more than 5 other than Force of Will are delve spells. So I think I like that. I think Snapcaster Mage is a little, if I bring in the surgicals though, it's good. Yeah. I have like no idea what to cut. I feel like Blood Moon's still very strong. Brazen Borrower is actually probably weak. Yes, it hits Murktide, but I feel like we're not as worried about Murktide if we have Pyroblast. So maybe I'll bring in a Surgical, bring in the Red Blast. I might cut a Lightning Bolt, which I really don't want to do, but I think I'm going to cut that for, I guess, a Spell Stutter Sprite or a Force. I think I still lose the game if I just Force. I fall too far behind. But Spell Stutter Sprite's going to be so bad against Bowmasters. I don't think I want Flusterstorm. Maybe it will just be the Spell Stutter Sprite. We'll go with this. Hope to jam a Blood Moon on them. Alright. Yeah, this hand's good. I like this. It can't fetch a basic mountain, but that's not needed if you Blood Moon. Alright, let's keep it. If my opponent jams a Beans on 2, like, I'm in trouble, but well, Thoughtseize on 1. They can take the Blood Moon. It's a dangerous card for them, because I think they're running very few basics. It's not even a 4-color deck, and they're running very few basics. Oh, they took the 1-mana spell here. I'm gonna just island into Ponder. There's no way to counter the Beans. Okay, this is good. I like this. I don't think I need the Lorien revealed quite yet. I'm gonna put the Sleep Curse Fairy on top and then the Brainstorm on top of that. If this was, notably if this was Magus of the Moon, which I also have in the main deck, I could cast it with Cavern and it would be uncounterable. Okay, opponent's island cycling. At least they're not casting the Beans yet. Gives me a turn to try to get the Hull Breacher, which now my opponent knows about online. Wonder if they're going to fetch a basic island here. That would be smart. Nope. Are they going to miss their... No, they didn't miss their land drop. There's definitely a consideration here for like Brainstorm into Sleep Cursed Fairy. But maybe, well, I think I'll definitely Brainstorm first, and then I can decide if I want to like hold up Spell Pierce for Beans or what. So let's open with Brainstorm. This stuff's good. This stuff's very good. I think I don't need the Lorien revealed. And the question is, I think you really want the counterbalance. So maybe I'll just put the counterbalance on top of the deck and then play the Sleep Curse Fairy. And then I'll hope to put the counterbalance into play next turn. Let's do that. Yep. So let's do this on Wizard. Notably, this has no... Hull Breacher unfortunately has no overlap with my other creature types. It's a Merfolk Pirate. So let's do Sleep Curse Fairy on Wizard. Especially with the Brazen Bee, with the Brazen Borrower out of the deck, there's no reason to put it on Fairy. That's the only other card that's a Fairy but not a Wizard. Alright, opponent's going to Brainstorm. So what I What I'm probably most worried about here is beans. I hate the beans. But I at least have Hull Breacher to fight the beans. I'd probably use Blood Moon as the bait spell, or I could use Counterbalance as the bait spell. Let's see what this is. Could be like Uro even. Just a Ponder. Probably looking for the beans. Still got the green open. I feel like this deck had Witherbloom Command in it the last time I saw the Pokemoki deck. I'm wondering if those are cut out because I have no like 1-drops like that. Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is good. You're going to take the Blood Moon probably. Could take the Hull Breacher. Plenty of considerations. I'm going to jam Counterbalance next turn though. That's my plan. Taking the Hull Breacher. They fear the Hull Breacher more than the Blood Moon. I could play the Blood Moon as the bait spell to the Counterbalance. I do have to fetch a non-basic. So there's a couple considerations here. One, I can't cast the Blood Moon unless I fetch a non-basic, which means I can't cast the Murktide unless I get an island. And I can't cast the Counterbalance. So I think I'll cast the Counterbalance first. I think I'll cast it off Volk. If I get Wastelanded, this could hurt. And the top of my deck is totally unknown. But let's stick a Counterbalance and see what my opponent does to this. Let's see. Counterbalance combined with Ponder is pretty good. Okay, it just sticks. And I can't cast anything else, so I guess that's my turn. Hope that the Counterbalance can counter their spells. Hope that I can get value out of this. This is like my beans. They're going to just jam a Murktide. It could be a full value Murktide even. Let's hope a Murktide's on top. That would be hilarious. Nope. Lorien revealed. Okay. Okay. So I can play my own not quite full value Murktide. I'm on a 3-turn clock. I can put them, I think, on a 2-turn clock actually. By I can cycle Lorien Revealed for basic island, which I'll do off the cavern. So they tried to get the Murktide in before. Get the Murktide in before it before they can't. So I'm hesitant to go Ponder into Murktide in case they have Blood Moon. That's kind of the answer here. So I want to be really careful here. I will probably Ponder after this just to set up my top card, but I'm going to go full value here. I guess I might as well exile the Hull Breacher just in case they have something like Reanimate. Don't think there's anything in green that does anything here. And then I'll cast Ponder off of off the bulk. If they force it, I'm going to be very sad. They're going to daze. Well, let's reveal. No, it's Surgical Extraction. Okay, I'll pay. Maybe they have double days here. They do. No need to reveal. Can't pay for this one. Well, brutal. I think my opponent might just have everything they need. I guess I can Ponder and hope to hit like a Pyroblast. My opponent notably cannot cantrip here, because they know I have a 1 on top of the deck. But they get an attack for 8. That's pretty strong. And the surgical is not looking too hot here. Let's open with Ponder. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. I like the Pyroblast here first. I think you go. There's no way to get both of these, so I think let's. Now the question is, what do I want to put on top of my deck? If I Pyroblast and my opponent Red Blasts, then I want the Spell Pierce on top of my deck. But otherwise, I want the Flame of Anor on top of the deck. There's nothing. My opponent's not casting a 3-drop here, so I think we want the Spell Pierce on top of the deck, because this Murktide is going to kill us very quickly. Let's no shuffle, and then let's. I could surgical to sort of, you know, check the waters, but I think we're just going to go for it. And if my opponent has force, they kind of just had everything. Well, they had force. Cool. They had 2 forces even. So I'm kind of just screwed here. I guess I'm not totally dead. I can take 8 here. I'm going to get in. And then I can chump the following turn after I draw my Spell Pierce. My worthless Spell Pierce. My Flame of Anor becomes just a draw 2. Okay, so now I have a 3 on top of the deck. Might as well get in for 3. But I can't cast the Blood Moon here, because if I do, I can't block, and then I just die. Alright, we're untapping. And now I have an unknown card on top of the deck. Or after this I have an unknown card. So I'm going to cast the Flame of Anor, just draw 2 cards. And if my opponent has Bowmasters, like that's the game. And I have to tap. I kind of need like Pyroblast and a land. Well, let's reveal with the counterbalance. It did nothing. And I have a Snapcaster on top. That's game. Even if I Spell Pierce it, my opponent just pays. Rough. Alright, on the play again. Oh, Achilles. This is Maverick player. I would love to play first. So this is going to be a Maverick deck probably. And this hand, I feel, matches up pretty well. So let's run it. All right. So I'm going to just open with the Sleep Curse Fairy. Hope Achilles isn't throwing me for like the biggest loop ever with like some wild... Okay, this looks like Maverick. Okay, just going for the basic planes. Maybe force into a dork. Yep. That dork will be bolted. Still bolting it, I think. Like bolt and ponder. I think that's reasonable. Just gonna get the basic mountain. And ponder. This stuff's pretty good. I think I want both the Scalding Tarn and the Lorien Revealed. And that way I can hold up multiple things next turn. So I'll put the Lorien Revealed on top and then the Scalding Tarn, give him a no, and then pass the turn. We'll see what my opponent has now. Maybe it's a Thalia. It's an oof. Oof does nothing. We will pass the turn. See if my opponent's going to get in with the oof. That's reasonable. Ooh, no play. Okay, well, I will untap the Sleep Curse Fairy, and I'll crack a fetch and upkeep. I don't want to draw that other land. I could have done the Lorien Revealed there, but I don't think I need to. Brainstorm's reasonable here. I can do it post-combat. Let's do the Brainstorm. Don't care about the oof at all. This is great. I don't think I need another Sleep Curse Fairy right now. I think the Brazen Bee can go back. I'm not going to jam the Murktide because I want to jam the Murktide with Spellstutter Sprite backup. Let's see. I could actually put back the land and then Lorien Revealed for it. That actually seems reasonable. Yeah, let's do that. Alright, we'll just get another island. So this is definitely a wasteland deck, and I want to... My opponent has also fetched basics. So... but I'm not going to waste this bolt on this Collector Oof. Like, Oof is not a card I care about at all. I would consider untapping the Sleep Curse Fairy to block, though. Dryad Arbor's fine. I will bolt the Dryad Arbor, though. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Use it to save it. That's fine. Alright, and I think here we're going to play the island into the Murktide and try to close this game out. So let's see, my opponent is going to be there at 13. So I kind of want this to be a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can just make it an 8. I don't think I need to. I think a 7's good. What do I want to leave in the graveyard? I don't think I need any of those. I don't think I need the Brainstorm. I think I'll leave the Lorien Revealed in case I get a... I would love to draw... actually, I'll leave a Lightning Bolt, because if I have a way to put a card back, like, Lightning Bolt seems great. Let's... Actually, hold on. I can pay... No, I want to delve it all. All right, let's do that. Okay. And my opponent will maybe swords here. They might play around days by waiting. maybe considering it. Knight's fine. I'm gonna just, I guess actually I have lethal here. If I just cast the Brazen, I'll have 13 in the air. Let's just do that. Yep. Okay. Cool. Quick win against Maverick. My opponent got stuck on lands, so I don't know if this is necessarily the best test. Legolas's quick reflexes plus Knight of the Reliquary, very good, if they can get that going. Okay, Unlicensed Hearse is good. Kozilek's Return is good. Other than that, most of this is kind of bad. Counterbalance is decent, but not amazing. I don't feel, most of the rest of this I think is probably bad. My opponent's not drawing extra cards generally. So yeah, the rest of this is probably bad. Blood Moon is also a consideration. Maverick frequently runs probably those two basic lands we saw are the two basic lands that that Achilles has in the deck. Notably, like there's going to be nothing I want out of the sideboard, so Fae of Wishes is a reasonable cut if I bring in all four of these. Spell Pierce, there's not going to be a ton of targets. Like Swords to Plowshares, Green Sun Zenith. Beyond those, like you can't counter Legolas's quick reflexes. Those are probably about it. I might trim or maybe even cut all of the Spell Pierces. I could cut a Force, but I actually feel like Force is kind of important. Like you gotta force a Knight if they have it. Maybe Force is better than Spell Pierce on the draw. I would consider bringing in a Spell Pierce for a Force of Will on the play, maybe. I feel like this is okay. Yeah. Meltdown does nothing. Surgical is okay, but not particularly good. Blusterstorm I don't think does enough. Yeah, this is good. Okay, let's hope I don't regret that cutting the Fae of Wishes. This is very slow. No real early threat. It has one force. I think I'll keep it. I don't love this hand, but I don't think it's a hand you can throw back. Yeah, Noble's fine. Don't hate Spellstutter Sprite. The question here is, do I brainstorm or wait, hold up? I think I'm just going to wait. My opponent could just play a land that could fetch black and pass. Yeah, this is kind of what I feared. Could be Endurance here. But I think I'm okay with that. I'm gonna just play another island. I don't want to put my fetch land out there because I want to get value with these brainstorms. And if my opponent Bowmasters, like I'll brainstorm in response, and that's fine. If they cast Endurance, I'll probably just let it go. I don't see any reason not to. Okay, so I'm definitely brainstorming around the Bowmaster. I might even double brainstorm. That's a lot of lands. This would get me to 5. I think I can put 2 lands back and brainstorm again. Okay. Well, I think we're putting the lands back, and then I'll draw the other Scalding Tarn, and then I will be drawing the other Scalding Tarn, and then I'll fetch away the land underneath. I think that's okay. Wasteland's fine. Scavenging Ooze is a problem. Considering forcing that. Actually, it's probably okay. I mean, there's no creatures in the graveyard yet. And like, yeah, it keeps my Murktide down, but if they're spending their mana to keep my Murktide down, that's okay. Okay. Yep. Alright, let's play the Scalding Tarn. I definitely don't want the land underneath it. I think I want to hold up the Spellstutter Sprite and the Brazen Bee. So I'll just pass. I'm going to set my stop back. My start was very slow. With no threat, I'm kind of very weak to what they have going on. Would love that Kozilek's Return off the top of the deck. Could cast the Brazen Bee here. But it's only 3 damage. I'm really not that worried about it. Let's see what they cast here. Blood Moon doesn't do a lot on this board. Okay, let's just fetch out. Fetch the mountain. I think I do want to bounce something here. I think it will be the Scavenging Ooze. Notably, if they have Legolas's quick reflexes, they'll save it, and then it will grow the Scavenging Ooze, which is kind of a problem, but I think that's okay. We will Petty Theft it. Okay, that was fine. Okay. Not kind of where I want to be. The following turn I'm holding up Hardcast Force of Will, but I really just haven't taken that much damage. I mean, they attack me for 2 here. That's just not a lot. There's the Skoos again. Choke. That can't resolve. That I have to force. And the question is, what am I pitching here? I think I'll pitch the Brainstorm for now. I'm kind of far from that. Okay. We'll cast this. Ponder with Brazen Borrower on the table is bad, so let's not do that. We'll just get in, trading 3 damage for the opponent's 3 damage. And now I'm holding up Hardcast Force. The Ponder is still... Okay, opponent can eat the Force of Will. Actually, you know, I could almost hardcast a Murktide. Swinging with everything. It's kind of interesting. Because I could cast the Spellstutter Sprite here and block the Bowmaster, although that really grows the Skoos a lot. I don't like that. It unlocks the Ponder but grows the Skoos. I think I'm going to let it go once. Okay. Bolt is very good. Bolt's great. Let's swing with the Brazen Borrower, because I can't block with it. So the other option is bolt the Skoos. Or so I can bolt the Bowmaster or bolt the Skoos. Huh. if I bolt the Bowmaster, the Scooz is going to be a 3/3 anyway. Well, let's start with bolting the Bowmaster. And then I'll ponder. Sleep Curse Fairy is not really what I'm looking for here. Yeah, it doesn't do a lot here, because if I play it, I can't even fetch the lands out. My opponent would have lethal damage. So I think I have to any order this. Yowzers. Might have to play the Spellstutter Sprite as a chump blocker. That's okay. If this is Endurance, I probably just lose. Well, I have to force it, and I have to have the Spellstutter Sprite as a chump blocker, because my opponent's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I have to force pitching Force. And then I have to block with the Scooz. Yep. I have to block the Scooz rather with the Spellstutter Sprite. Okay, my opponent still has 2 cards in hand. Yuck. Drawing a card maybe here? Okay. Well, I'm fetching out Basic Island and blocking the Scooz, and if they have Source of Plowshares, I think I just lose the game. Let's go. Go to 3. What do they have? Is this Knight? If it's Knight, that's also probably game. Surprised my opponent had Endurance and they didn't block the Brazen Borrower. Well, Green Sun Zenith for 3, nothing I can do to that. And they're gonna hit my graveyard. So the Murktide's off. I probably have no answers here. I don't think there's any outs. Brainstorm's a start. Kozilek's Return isn't going to do it here. Would have been nice earlier. Yep. So even with the Murktide, I can't cast it. I'm short. So yeah, this game's over. And even if I cast it, my opponent just attacks with 2 creatures. Okay. Okay. Well, that was rough. I think some of this is better on the play. I might trim 1 Force for a Spell Pierce. Otherwise, I think the rest of this is pretty okay. Don't think I want the Fae of Wishes. It does hold the ground a little bit. Like, how much do I fear just blocking creatures? It's not that great against Noble Hierarch, because like it won't kill anything. I think this is probably just okay as is. Yeah, this hand's good. So I can Sleep Curse Fairy on 1 off Basic Island, Lorien Cycle, and then maybe Brainstorm on 2. I think this is fine. If I hit something, I can cast another spell. Yeah, it's land light, but I think it functions on the 1 land, and I can fetch the 2nd land. Still haven't seen my Flame of Anor. Like, where are those things? Didn't board them out. Alright. I don't even need the Lorien Cycle. So we could just play Counterbalance here. I think that's great. No, Wasteland doesn't do anything. Knight is very good. I'd really love to hit a 3 here. Nope. It's a Force of Will. Wish I had that. Okay. I think I'm going to Brainstorm into Lorien Revealed. Kind of like that. I don't mind this. This is okay. Yeah, I have to play a Volk, but I think that's okay. What do I want to put back? Maybe I should have held the Brainstorm, to be honest, actually, to do it in response to a Counterbalance. That might have been a mistake. I will do like this. And I'll just play the Volk and pass the turn. So I have a 2 on top of my deck. My opponent might open with Wasteland, though. No. There's the 2. Ellie goes away. Bird of Paradise. I can counter that 2 with the Spell Stutter Sprite. I think I like that. So I guess we do a no here. No. And then I'm still going to counter that. All right. Okay, let's see what my opponent's getting here. Getting a Verdant. Could do like some sort of Legolas's Quick Reflexes. Carpet. Ooh, brutal. Do I want to give them the mana? This gives them like basically unlimited mana for the rest of the game. I think I have to give it to them. It's kind of brutal, but I don't think I want to force this. I think I'm just too low resource if I force it. I think I have to force payoffs. Three white. Mother of Runes. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Well, I think I'll let that go too. All right. And the question here is, do I want the Snapcaster or would I rather Lorien Revealed in Upkeep? And I think I'd rather Lorien Revealed in Upkeep. Yeah, we'll just get an island. Alright, I guess I'll attack with the Spell Stutter Sprite. And I have Snapcaster into Brainstorm, but like, I mean, it's somewhat unlikely that my opponent casts like a 5. And I think my opponent does have a Bojuka Bog. But I guess if they're fetching Bog off their 1 Savannah, like, that might be okay. 4 white. Ward 2, not really super valuable. I'm going to stack the Counterbalance first. So they have to pay the ward first. And then I can Snapcaster into Brainstorm here, which I think I'm going to do. My opponent does not have black. We'll Snapcaster Brainstorm. Cannot counter it, interestingly. This is very bad. Okay. I think, this is super bad. Like, I have nothing of consequence on top of the library. Yeah, I guess I'm on Force of Will plan here. That was a very bad brainstorm. Okay, it's gone. Still might be able to... Okay, that's fine. Now I'm much more likely to be able to Murktide next turn still. And I can force... Brutal. It's a lot of damage. If they have Legolas's quick reflexes, like, this is only going to be a 4/4 Murktide. They'll just kill it with the Knight. Not really where I want to be. Well, we're just going to jam the Murktide, see what happens. And I know that my top card is a 0, which is like worthless. Nope. Okay. Yes, I would love to shuffle. I will find the island. Because otherwise my hand was worthless. I think I might just block with the Snapcaster, because it's not getting in. And what I really want to draw is... I really want to draw that Kozilek's Return. Fiend Artisan. Well, let's see if I hit. I didn't, and I drew Force of Will, which is like not the card I want here. I think I have to force this. I don't think there's any way I win this game if this resolves. Like, I don't think there's any way I win this game if that resolves. Well, my opponent knows I have the force. I'm going to get in with the Spellstutter Sprite. My opponent knows I have force on top of the... or knows I have force in hand and I can cast it. But no idea what the card is in my hand. Or no idea what the card is on top of my deck. Taking a lot of damage here from this Knight. And there's not an easy way to kill it. Not forcing the carpet paid off. I'm kind of amazed I haven't seen a single Flame of Anor, like, at all. I'm going to leave the Spellstutter Sprite on chump duty, because my opponent, if they go pro-blue next turn, like, I can't block. So I might as well block this turn. Okay, they're plowing the Spellstutter Sprite. Yes. It's a Spellstutter Sprite on top of the deck, which is not going to do it. I'm going to just lose the game here. Yeah, I mean, I think that's game. I'm amazed. I have 4 Flame of Anors. I don't think I saw one, like, basically at all. Yeah, because even if I cast the Spellstutter Sprite next turn, my opponent gets in with the Knight, and then next turn has Mother of Runes, and they know what's on top of my deck. That's the end of that game. Ah, sad. Harry1232, another Maverick player. I'm like hitting the Maverick Discord here. I think this hand just doesn't line up super well. If this Brainstorm doesn't get something, like, I could just lose, get Wastelanded and lose this game. I'm going to mulligan this. And I like this a lot better. I'm going to keep this. Let's see. I think it's probably one of the cantrips. Might put back Brainstorm just in case, because my opponent's probably on Bowmasters. I feel like I almost never play against Maverick, and then I feel like this is going to be 2 Maverick players in a row. Oh, it wasn't. All right. That's fine. Is this just Delver? This might just be Delver. It could be, I mean, it still could be some combo deck. Actually, maybe I shouldn't turn off auto. I'll turn off the auto yields. I'm going to open with just, so my opponent sees this card. Oh, the jig is up. They see this. That's funny. They're probably like, what is going on? But I'm going to ponder. I don't love all of this, but if this is Delver, I think you don't want the Force. I think you put the Murktide on top and then the Bolt. Or actually maybe Bolt then Murktide. Because we can pitch the Murktide to Force. Let's go like this. And then hopefully we fetch something with the Scalding Tarn and we draw land in our next land drop after that. Guess we'll find out. Okay, so this could be Grixis. It's a Bowmasters. I am not concerned with Bowmasters at all. I have a Bolt on top of the deck. I have a Spell Stutter Sprite to block it. I think this is fine. Question is, do I want to bolt it now? I'll let it go, because I don't think there's any like urgency to bolt it. I could just jam the Fae of Wishes. That'd be kind of hilarious. So again, no urgency to play the... No, I don't think there's any urgency to bolt. Okay, if they're going to go to end step, I am going to bolt it in the end step. Brainstorm's fine. Alright. Bolt resolves. Are they going to do anything different? No. Land would be good. Spell Pierce is okay. I don't hate just playing out the Fae of Wishes here. It just holds the air, and it's annoying. And whenever I do draw that land, it is a wizard. Let's see if my opponent has another Bowmasters. They do. That's fine. So they can only really attack with the Orc army, and then I just block with the Fae of Wishes. And like if they bolt it, they bolt it. That's fine. It's kind of absorbed a bolt and saved me from 3 damage attack. Like that's done its job, I think. I don't like that. So this is going to be a 5/5 Murktide. So interestingly, if I force this, I can force it pitching Spell Pierce. If they have Daze, I'm kind of blown out, but then if because this will only be, let's see, yeah, it's only going to be a 5/5, so it'll be, I can hit it with Flame of Anor. So I'm going to force it, and if they do daze it, I think that's okay. One, because if I draw an island, I can either do a 5/5, I can kill it with Flame of Anor, or I can play a 6/6 Murktide. Oh, look at Bay of Wishes, already saved me 3 life. Land? No. Alright. Not attacking. Really need that land. Maybe we're going to stare at each other here. I'm okay with that. I don't think I'm casting Granted, so I don't think there's any point to that. I'd rather hold it up for the Spell Stutter Sprite. If they do kill my Bay of Wishes, I'll cast another one. Yeah, really stuck on mana here. I'm not highlighting this deck's strong suits here. Still nothing. I like the Force though. I mean, it's not the worst draw. It's not a Lorien Revealed or a land, which would be my best draws. I'm gonna continue staring at each other. Well, I'm blocking. I'm gonna bolt it. I will cast the Spell Stutter Sprite. Do I force the daze? I think I will not. Because if I don't want to get blown out by another daze, so I'm gonna just say no. Okay. Really need that land. Lorien Revealed is good. I think I'm gonna play the Murktide around days, and I'll cast the Fae of Wishes. Stifle on Lorien Revealed. Wow! I think I have to force this, because I desperately need this land. I think I'm going to pitch a Flame of Anor. Okay. And I'm still going to cast just Fae of Wishes here. Cast Fae of Wishes. Because if they have another daze, like, I don't want to get blown out. How big is this thing? It's a 6/6. Okay. Okay, I did draw the bulk anyway. Alright, well, I think we'll just cast our own Murktide. Force, Ponder, Lorien Revealed. I mean, maybe I don't want to go full value here. I think I'll go 7 and leave the Bolt in case I draw a Snapcaster. And I'll exile a land. Alright, and we'll just pass. They can wasteland my bulk, that's fine. Don't really want to cast this Flame of Anor. Dragon Rage Channeler is risky. Because, well, I guess they can start to put things into their graveyard, which is very good. Alright, Snapcaster would be a great draw. I'm going to start holding this. I'm definitely struggling to close out this game. I could just kill one of their non-Murktide creatures, but I think the Flame of Anor is better just held up. That's interesting. Spellstutter Sprite. I think I will now play out the Volk. So I'm wondering, actually, I could get in with the Murktide Regent. Block with the Fae of Wishes. I don't win the race. Well, do I? I might win the race. And maybe I'll just get in with the Murktide. Let's see what Harry does. Nothing. Okay. Getting in with that. I think I'm just going to block the Orc army with the Murktide. Go to 6. This might have been a mistake. Let's Spellstutter Sprite that. Okay. And no effects here. I have a new chump blocker. Force of Will's good. So now my opponent has to be very careful here. Going to 3. I have bolts. A new Murktide. Let's force it. If they have days, that's okay. Okay. I think this is just a 3/3 Murktide. It is just a 3/3 Murktide. Okay. So I think I can just kill the Murktide on my turn and attack for lethal. Because all my creatures fly, flying, flying, flying. They can block the Murktide. They still die. Just have to be careful here. Oh, Snapcaster Bolt also does it. Let's just do that. Let's not reveal anything. I'm not going to tap like that. Alright. Okay. That was grindy. Probably grindier than it needed to be. So Harry's trying Grixis Delver. That's cool. Cool. I think I definitely want Unlicensed Hearse. Most of this is bad. Don't hate Kozilek's Return, and I don't hate Blood Moon. Not sure I want it on the draw. Most of the rest of this I think is not good. Counterbalance is okay, but again, might not want it on the draw. I think the rest of this is bad. I think the Pyroblasts and the Unlicensed Hearse are 100% in. Like, no way they're not in. I might trim a Spell Stutter Sprite. Magus of the Moon might be a clean swap for Blood Moon. Even though this card's good, like, my opponent has bolts, so it's kind of not good. It's not good in that capacity, I guess. And Snapcaster's a little ambitious on the draw. Flame of Anor might be a little ambitious on the draw. It's very good though. Kind of don't want forces in this matchup, but they're a little better on the draw than they are on the play. Maybe I'll go like this for this, just bring in more removal. I don't hate the Snapcaster. Like, Snapcaster Pyroblast is a very strong response in this matchup. Maybe I'll trim a Spell Pierce for a Snapcaster. We'll go like that. I do want these cards, but I guess I can grant it for them, but I think the real answer is I want them only situationally. This hand's great. It's got loads of lands and spells that interact with the opponent. Like, this is what you want. Notably, my opponent is running Stifle, so I have to be extra careful here. Well, I'm just going to sit back if they're not going to do anything. I'll play the Valk because I think I'd rather cycle off the Valk rather than crack my fetch. Let's see what this is. I'll fetch an island off the Flooded Strand if they play a Bowmaster here. That's fine. Let's fetch an island and just baiting a lightning bolt here. Yeah, I think it's better here. Let's bolt. Rainstorm's fine. Dragon Ridge Channeler. Nothing I can do to that right now. Getting in for one. And they're short on sorcery. Well, I'm going to cycle the Lorien Revealed. I think I'm going to get another bulk. Don't hate that. Opponent still only has one instant in sorcery, so like even a Murktide here is in range of being killed. If they fire off a cantrip, I'm going to Spell Stutter Sprite it. Getting in first. I think you don't do anything here. No effects. Alright. Well, I mean, if they're just going to keep playing lands, like, they're not really putting me under much pressure. I don't want to see a Bowmaster here. Bowmaster's probably what I don't want to see. Bolt. I'm going to let them surveil first. Fury? Whoa. Let's cast Spell Stutter Sprite. Alright. Let's see what they got. 5 cards in hand. They're still stacked. Oh, that's a pretty good draw. I like that. I'm not attacking. Let's see if my opponent has a Bowmasters. Sauron's Ransom. I'm going to let you Sauron's Ransom first, or I'm going to let you Surveil, and then I'm going to Spell Pierce it. And then here, I'm going to cast Flame of Anor. I'm going to get another island. Not that. I want this. 5 damage, draw 2. Target player draws 2 cards. Me, 5 damage to the Dragon Rage Channeler. Red, blue, blue. Let's go. Boom. That was pretty good. I'm now pretty stacked. Can I cast a Murktide? A Counterbalance. I don't like that. I think I have to let it go, and I'll try to Pyroblast it when I know the coast is clear. I'm not trading. No. Okay. Okay, so I think we open here with Sleep Cursed Fairy. And we'll see what my opponent does. Because if they Brainstorm, I can Spell Stutter Sprite. Polluted Delta on top. Okay. This resolves. Let's Pyroblast. I have 4 islands. I can put Flame of Anor on top of my deck and then Flame of Anor. I feel like that is very good. I could just stifle that, or I could Spell Stutter Sprite that. I feel like that's good. Let's do it. I don't want to crack this fetch land. Okay, they just concede. Sounds good. Opponent must have been out of gas. All right, again on the play. I'll take it. Yeesh. 5 lands, no cantrips. I think this is a mull. Oh, this is this is a bad hand. But is it better than 5? This hand's actually not terrible if I just draw like another land, so maybe I'll keep it. There's only one instant and sorcery, so I'm going to bottom the Murktide for now. I'm farther from casting that even probably than the Snapcaster. I don't love this hand, but 5 is probably just too weak. Maybe I'll turn off auto yields, make them think I have a daze if they force it. We have a reader, I think. Yes, I'm playing weird cards from new sets in Legacy. Oh, they let it go. So a fetch land up the top, and like my hand is not bad. Oh, is this another bean deck? Nope, this looks like a combo deck. So this could be like TES or some sort of storm deck. That'd be my guess based on this opening. I don't think you want pedal into beans. That doesn't seem like a thing. Pedal into Uro also doesn't seem like a thing. So I think this looks like a storm deck so far. Could be something else, but that's my current read. Land? Nope. Oh, we'll just cast another one. Bayou. My storm opponent has more lands than me. Well, the jig is up, my opponent. You now know what's going on. Not a lot. Yep. 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 Burning Wish for something. Doing an Adnaz or a Beseech here, maybe. Beseech. Okay. Oh, they can Beseech for... Yeah, this should do it with, what do you call it? Yeah, Gaia's Will. That does it. 4 petals. Actually, they're... Oh, no, with the LED. Yeah, okay. That does work. Okay. They have enough, right? Yeah, they do. Yeah. Totally enough. So they get to play all their stuff again, and then Beseech or Burning Wish, and then Tendrils me. And that should do it. You get to take another card, sure. But the game's over, buddy. Alright. And then you get the Tendies, and then that's it. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Okay, so we're up against TES, looks like. Definitely want Null Rod. These are... I might want some number of those. Flusterstorm's in for sure. Counterbalance is very good. Force of Negation's good. Not sure if I want Hull Breacher or Narset. They're not bad. I'll put them into the questionable pile. And some amount of graveyard removal also, like, has text. So that stuff's not useless. Fae of Wishes is way too slow for this matchup, and the body doesn't matter. Brazen Borrower and Magus also probably don't matter. Magus a little better than some of the other ones. Flame of Anor is a little slow. Probably can cut some or all of the bolts. Could do something like this. Do I want the Magus or the Blood Moon? Probably the Magus is better than the Blood Moon. I think I want all that. I think I want all of this. I think I want all of this. And Murktides are my quick answers. How much blue do they have? They have cantrips, I guess. Maybe I don't need all of that. Maybe I want something like a surgical or an unlicensed hearse. I feel like unlicensed hearse is better, but surgical is like turn 0 interaction, which is real nice. Bring in the surgical, I think. I think surgical is probably better than hearse in this matchup, now that I think about it. Yeah. Let's go like that. Yeah, this is good. So some combination of surgical and forces and flusterstorm, and we'll see where this goes. Yeah, if my opponent doesn't turn 1 me, this is probably okay. Let's keep this. Let's ponder. That's not exactly what I wanted. Okay, so I want to draw probably the Lorien revealed here. Yeah. So let's do no, and then we'll pass. And then we can either upkeep Lorien revealed or brainstorm into Lorien revealed. I think I like upkeep Lorien revealed. Okay, drew the Snapcaster anyway. And I have a brainstorm here in case they Thoughtseize me or, you know, go for it. Might actually do an EOT brainstorm to have all my mana the following turn. This is great. This is really good. I'm playing Null Rod plus Sleep Curse Fairy next turn. So I don't need this, and I don't need... Let's hide the Spell Stutter Sprite. Or actually, let's hide... Let's see, I want to pitch... I'll probably pitch either the Spell Stutter Sprite. I'll probably pitch... might pitch the Snapcaster, actually. So let's put the Spell Stutter Sprite. Let's put the Flame of Anor on top of the deck. That's probably better. Oh, I'm going to draw it anyway. Guess this doesn't matter. Okay, that's fine. Alright, so let's cast Null Rod. Let's cast it off of these two. That ought to slow things down a little bit. And then we'll cast a Sleep Curse Fairy. And then we'll go from there. Okay. Have some protection up at least. Opponent might just like abrupt decay it here, but I have a combination of like spell permanent or spell hate and permanent hate. That's kind of what you want in this matchup. But no real clock. Okay. A land for my opponent. And I have a Mystic Sanctuary on top, which I will probably just play tapped, unless they play like an artifact or something. I can see myself casting Flame of Anor, and then seeing if I draw a different land. Let's see what my opponent's got. 7 cards in hand, so they're stacked. Haven't played a spell this game. They can just Dark Ritual and go off though if they have all the spells. Can't cast, or they can cast artifacts, but they don't. They won't add mana. I think if my opponent casts Dark Ritual, I don't want to counter it because like they might have Veil. Okay. I think I'm just playing the Mystic Sanctuary tapped and passing the turn. So I have Snapcaster Brainstorm up, I have Spellstutter Sprite up, and I have Force of Will up, and I have Flame of Anor up. So I have a pile of effects here. Let's see if my opponent goes for something. 8 cards, so they got to do something or go to discard. Sleep Curse Fairy can untap at the EOT if they do nothing. I also could do Snapcaster Brainstorm. That's another clock. Don't know why they would play out an artifact here against Flame of Anor. I also could just Flame of Anor to draw 2. They're gonna Sleep Curse. They're gonna hit my Sleep Curse Fairy. Okay, that's quite surprising. Okay, might Snapcaster Brainstorm here. All right, let's hit the Brainstorm. This just gets a clock going, which I think is very important in this matchup. Notably now, Spellstutter Sprite doesn't hard counter. Oh, that okay. Well, we're drawing one of these cards. It'll be Flame of Anor, and then we'll fetch away the rest. Okay. End step, good. Go to main phase. I think I'm gonna end step, just draw 2 with Flame of Anor. I'm just gonna pass the turn. Don't think I want to draw the other land, so I would fetch before. Oh my gosh! Did I just pass without attacking? Oh my gosh! Whoops! I can't believe I did that. That's a total mistake. That's a punt. Really bad too. Like, I have to counter that. Let's counter it. I mean, I guess the Snapcaster 2 damage probably doesn't matter here. Okay. We will counter Veil. Can't just let that go. Because if that goes, I assume that they have a way to win the game. That's basically unlimited mana. They would get 3. I think I have to let it go. This deck's definitely weak to Carpet. And here they add 1,000,000 mana. And even with the Scalding Tarn, there's nothing that I can fetch that doesn't give them more. Ponder's good. They get to sculpt to everything. Can't believe I didn't attack with that Snapcaster. That's so noob. So bad. Such a punt. on a game. Opponent's sculpting their perfect hand here. I will counter the payoff if they go for one. They must think that I have nothing. I mean, they don't think that I have nothing. Oh, they just have it. They just have a natural tendrils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's not actually lethal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It is lethal. Notably, if I force here, I can't fetch. So I'm just going to force one of them and go to 1. I think I probably misplayed that. Should have, well, I guess if I force like one of the rituals, they had enough mana to still tendrils. Maybe I needed to force the first ritual, because I think this doesn't do it. Although my opponent's going to be at a bajillion D life. Okay, there's just a land. Can't fetch, will die. So let's do this. Target player draws 2 cards, destroy an artifact. I'll target myself, target the LED. And we'll go like this. Flusterstorm's good. It's not a Murktide Regent. Okay, well, I don't know if the Flusterstorm will actually solve the problem here. Opponent's on an 11-turn clock. Really just need like a Murktide. Ponder and Murktide would be good. I guess ask and you shall receive. One, two, three, four, 5. I guess there's no reason to delve away an extra spell or an extra creature, so I will just pay the mountain. Yeah, might as well just leave that in there. And we'll accelerate the clock to 3 turns. I still think my opponent's probably favored here, but I'm live. And this is this highlights just one of the problems with this deck, that the clock is so slow. You kind of have to like stall out their whole game plan in order to win. I mean, sometimes it does just jam like a turn 3 or 4 Murktide, but that's pretty uncommon. Wonder if my opponent's like counting their mana. Let's see if we can get something going here. Oh, do they just have it? Could have Beseech. maybe? Nothing I can do to Burning Wish. They have plenty of mana to pay through a Flusterstorm. If they just have Burning Wish for Tendrils, that's game. Because there's no way. No, they have Beseech. This. Let's see what happens here. So I think that they've now cast 4 spells, so I think that this will just be countered. Yeah, 3 spells. That's a good one. Or at least not useless. Probably my best draw off the top would be like another Snapcaster or something, but I'll take a Pyroblast. Watch my opponent like brainstorms and veils it. Flame of Anor is okay. I'm going to do this and just draw 2 cards. Actually, I guess there's no reason to do it now. We'll do it in response to something. Notably, I can't like... Alright, we got one. Yeah, this combination of permanent hate and spell hate got there. And my opponent was 1 short with the tendrils. So that was pretty good. Okay. I really hate to see that Carpet of Flowers. Not a card I want to see. Because there's just no enchantment removal in these colors. There is a question, like, should this deck be Jeskai instead? And maybe like you just have a very light splash for Flame of Anor and maybe 4th Aerolingos. You know, like maybe that's the route this deck should go. You have white removal, like Prismatic Ending and Swords to Plowshares instead of Lightning Bolt. Definitely something to think about. Don't think I need Meltdown. I think this is okay. Let's go with this. Definitely want to draw that Null Rod if I can. I'm going to keep it and hope that they don't go for it turn 1. Alright, I'm going to play Scalding Tarn. Because I can fetch out a Mountain and Lorien Cycle if they do nothing. Alright, let's do that. So fetch out Mountain and do the Island Cycling. And I'll get Island, because I am running that Magus, I think. I am running a Magus, right? Yeah, I do have the Magus, so we'll get a basic Island. Alright. Sleep Curse Fairy is not bad. But I think I'll hold up the Spell Stutter Sprite and the Brainstorm. I think that's more important. Next turn I can play the Misty Rainforest and cast the Sleep Curse Fairy off the island. Alright. Do I want a Lorien cycle again? Yes, let's do it. I'll get a Volk. Don't hate that. But I think I'm just going to cast the Sleep Curse Fairy. Let's cast it here. Alright. And now I have a hard counter. We'll see what my opponent does. If they do nothing, I can untap it. Man, opponent just making land drop after land drop. Brutal. Alright, let's see here. Ponder. So I could fire off the Spell Stutter Sprite here. And I don't hate that. I don't want to let my opponent be able to sculpt. If they have a Veil, they have a Veil, and that hurts. Dress Down. That was not a card I expected to see. But okay. You get your Ponder. Hopefully they can't go for it with the one Polluted Delta. Already made their land drop for turn. Alright. Okay. So I think I want to open with Brainstorm here. And then I can... Null Rod's fantastic. Null Rod's fantastic. Let's put both of these islands away. Flooded Strand, crack it, get an island, cast Null Rod. Yeah, I like that. So, again, combining the permanent hate and spell hate. That's how you win this matchup. And I'm holding up the Brainstorm with unknown cards on top of the deck. But my opponent's got 7 cards in hand. They're fully stacked. Do I want to Brainstorm here? Ugh. I don't think so, because if I get a Force, they just take whatever I hit. So I think I'll let them Thoughtseize away the Brainstorm. Don't love this. Yeah, they take the Brainstorm because if I cast the Brainstorm, I do feed into their Storm count. And, unless I hit 2 Forces, they can... Unless I draw, some miraculous hand, they can strip, any interaction that I have. They know not to play an artifact here. Okay, still nothing. I don't hate that. Okay, let's Ponder. Oh, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. So I think I'll put back the Sleep Curse Fairy, and then I'm going to put the Red Blast on top and hold the Spell Pierce. Yeah, I like that. So no. We'll play the Misty. So I know I have a Red Blast on top of my deck. And I can actually draw it with Flame of Anor and then crack the fetch after if I absolutely have to. Otherwise I probably want to draw that card anyway. Let's see what my opponent's got here. If they just go like Carpet of Flowers, I'm going to be sad. What do you got, opponent? They know I kept on the Ponder, so I'm probably gassed up. If they do nothing, I will probably just untap the Sleep Curse Fairy, draw the Red Blast, and then that's it. Which I think is the right move, because that just gets my clock going. Alright, we untap. And then I want to draw that Red Blast, because I think that's a pretty good card in this matchup. The card under it is useless. I think it was a land. Alright. Clock's real. The question is, do I want a Flame of Anor here? I don't think so. I don't think there's any... I don't think there's anything I want to do right here with Flame of Anor. Like, you could Flame of Anor and then cast a Murktide, but then you're not holding up your 2 pieces of interaction. Defense Grid. That's interesting. That'll limit me to 1 piece of interaction? Huh. I could Spell Pierce it. But if they Veil, I'm like super screwed. It's kind of an interesting thing, because I can actually Flame of Anor this at the EOT and hope to draw, like... Although I'm thinking about maybe Spell Piercing it now. Yeah, maybe you Spell Pierce this now, and then cast Flame of Anor, like, if they Veil, maybe I Flame of Anor to draw a Force of Will. Ooh, but then I'd need to draw 2 pieces of interaction. Maybe you just hold up the 1 piece of interaction, because I can pay for the Defense Grid. So I can pay the 3 mana in order to cast either one of these, or at the end of turn I can even Flame of Anor. Ugh, yuck. So this I'm gonna Spell Pierce. But then they know I have nothing. So I think I have to Spell Pierce this. Oh, this sucks. Yeah, this is bad. Because there's no difference between 17 and 18. So I will crack the fetch now. Ooh, yeah. I'm just gonna Spell Pierce it. Brutal. But now they know I have nothing. Alright. So can they go off here with no mana open? The answer is potentially yes. But I think if I don't Spell Pierce that Veil, like I can't get anything. I don't do anything. Do they just Ritual? Oh! Carpet. Even worse than Ritual. Okay. Yep, bunch of artifacts. Chrome Mox. No imprint. Where's the mana gonna come from? Oh, just nothing. Oh, yeah, okay, they can Beseech here? Yeah, okay, I think this is over. Yeah, I don't think there was anything I could have done there. So if I spell pierce the grid, they still have Bayou Carpet play their stuff. I don't know. I mean, this game's over. So I'm going to draw my next card just to see what it would have been. I hate doing that. Well, fun. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I misplayed that. But I think if I spell pierce the grid, I probably should have spell pierced the grid. That's probably more relevant than spell piercing the veil. Because spell piercing the veil, like, they already know you have nothing because then you have 2 mana open. So if I spell pierce the grid, I guess they veil, and that's even worse. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think they just had it. Alright, well, GG's opponent. Alright, on the draw here. This opponent last played Modern and played Crashing Footfalls. Which would be pretty good against this hand, but I think we will keep it. I guess if they don't have a turn 1 Crashing Footfalls, then you spell pierce it. But they could be on something else, who knows. Could still be Crashing Footfalls. Alright, I'm just going to play the island and pass. We'll see if my opponent's got anything. The Crashing Footfalls that they played was like a month ago and in Modern, so not Legacy. They don't have a Legacy. I guess they played a Legacy Challenge in April. They were on Elves. Alright. I don't think I've actually seen this avatar before. What is this? Oh, that's cool. Okay. Alright, let's see here. Opponent is not on Crashing Footfalls. That is for sure. Or if they are, it's a really bad version where you also run Brainstorm. Alright, Bobble's good. Opponent knows about the Ponder, so let's do it. Okay. I don't hate this. I think we just go Island into Sleep Curse Fairy, and then the following turn we can Ponder again. So let's go put the Ponder, Flame, Sleep Curse Fairy, no. Play the Island and the Sleep Curse Fairy. This gets us pretty close to Flame of Anor. We still will need a mountain, but like we have a Ponder and a Brainstorm, so hopefully that's enough. So opponent had Mishra's Bauble. This could be a Storm deck, actually, now that I think about it. Like Brainstorm and Bauble. I mean, so it could be like a Delver deck, but it could be like a Storm deck. Those are the two most likely decks. Volcanic Island, still looking like Delver. Okay. Well, let's open with the Ponder and see what the opponent does to that. Nothing. Okay. I like the Misty. Let's get that. No. And then play the Misty, and we'll just pass. We're in good shape here, I feel. Like, we have a Spell Pierce, we have a Brainstorm. The Misty can't fetch Basic Mountain, but opponent is seeking beasts. I'm going to Spell Pierce that. Opponent forces. I think we let it go. I don't think we want to. I don't think we want to play a Volk and expose it to Wasteland. All right, let's see what the opponent got. Opponent got a Misty and a Questing Druid, which I think they can seek the beast again with. They have to do it this turn. They have to do it main phase. They are seeking beasts again. They got a Force of Will and a Daze. They have to play it this turn, though. The Vapor Snag was exiled from their Force. So the Force and Daze are available this turn. Delver's fine. Delver presents a target. Okay. And I do not want to draw that Ponder. So I'm going to just go to Upkeep. So these are now permanently exiled. And here I will crack the fetch. And we'll see what happens. I'll just get a Volk and go to turn. Land? No. Okay. I still like Flame of Anor here. It plays into Daze, but like, you know, they've exiled a Daze. They had the opportunity to yeah, they could have Daze, but you can't always play Afraid of Daze. So I'm going to just play this and hope to hit a land drop. They have Daze. Cool. I could have played it safe and played like Lightning Bolt plus Brainstorm, but I did not. I still will later have Snapcaster plus Flame. Portent. That's interesting. They're going to Portent somebody. 3 instants in their graveyard, so that if they Portent and then cast a Murktide, it could be big. They're going to cast a Questing Druid. That's fine. Portent targeting themselves. I think I want to respond to the Upkeep trigger. Can't block. Okay, so let's bolt the Questing Druid, because I don't want that thing to get out of hand, and we'll do it in response. They could have a Cantrip and a Daze, but they're going to Brainstorm. Okay. Puts another counter on. And if they have Daze, then the Bolt doesn't do anything. They could also Force. Okay. They can draw their card. Then I'll draw my card. Okay. I've hit my land drop. I could just cast Snapcaster Bolt. Alternatively, yeah, Snapcaster Bolt is very good. But I might want to hold Snapcaster Bolt for the Questing Druid. Alright, let's just hold back. Not too worried about... Okay, Questing Druid's fine. Dragon Rage Channeler. And that thing is going to be online. So let's Snapcaster Bolt here. So we're going to Snapcaster Bolt. And let's bolt the Questing Druid immediately. They're going to Brainstorm. It's going to be hard to get that thing to 3 here, but they could just hit a Daze, and that would be good enough. So next turn I can Brainstorm into Murktide. That feels pretty good. And then the following turn, Snapcaster Flame of Anor. Oh, I got the Questing Druid. And the Murktide, the Dragon Rage Channeler will have to attack into the Murktide. Wasteland, that's annoying. Could cast the Flame of Anor again. Do I think my opponent has Daze? I think they do not, because I think they would have Dazed to protect their Questing Druid. So let's just go with this. I'll target myself to draw 2, target the Dragon Rage Channeler. We'll just Flame of Anor again. That's very good. And I think we just bolt the Insectile Aberration again. I'm tempted to put the Flame of Anor back on top of my deck, but I'm not going to. I'm going to bolt. So they can cast a big Murktide here. Dragon Rage Channeler's fine. Let's see what they get here. They Murktide. This is a Murktide. Sure. It's the full size. Alright. Let's Brainstorm to start. Actually, let's Ponder. No, let's Brainstorm first. Fae of Wishes could be a granted the following turn. Let's put back the Sleep Curse Fairy and put the Fairy of Wishes on top. Yeah, let's do that. I also could Snapcaster Bolt or something the following turn to grow my Murktide. Alright, let's cast a big ol' Murktide. We will exile Brainstorm, Spell Pierce, Ponder, Ponder, and Flame. And just pass. Now the question is, do I want to play into Double Bolt? Opponent has not played a Lightning Bolt yet. I might have to chump Murktide on Murktide. Opponent could have a Mystic Sanctuary if they play a fetch land too. That is very painful. Main deck Pyroblast. Ouch. Yeah, that hurts. I'm gonna bolt here and kind of see what happens. Okay. They could have another Murktide. That would be pretty much game. I think I'm gonna... Let's see. I'm gonna actually chump with the Sleep Curse Fairy. Just to keep my life total healthy. Delver's fine. Alright, let's get aggressive with the Snapcaster. Actually, do I want to do that? Yeah, let's get aggressive with the Snapcaster. If they trade with the Delver, I think that's okay. And then I can take a hit for 8, which I don't like, but yeah, they do not trade wisely. I'm going to Ponder first. Brazen Bee is good, although it does only buy a turn. Don't want the Sleep Curse Fairy. Brazen Borrower is pretty good. Yeah. I don't know if this is actually going to work. I don't know if this is actually going to work, but we will do it. I'm going to go to my opponent's upkeep because I can do everything that I want to do there. Let's see what my opponent does. Daze. Okay, do I want to do this here? Yes. So let's Snapcaster Bolt here. Snapcaster Bolt. We'll hit the Insectile Aberration. And then we're actually, I feel, doing okay here. Like, yes, they can daze, but we're gonna Brazen Borrower it the following turn. And, like, oh, that's very interesting. Okay, this is actually a good result for me. So I'm gonna Petty Theft this thing. Get in for 2. Okay, so now the question is, I can put a Bolt on top of my deck. I won't quite do it. Like, I can Lorien Revealed for a Mystic Sanctuary and then put a Bolt on top of my deck. How many instant sorceries do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they can put another 8/8 into play. Yeah. Huh. Well, I think we'll start with that. I might put the Flame of Anor on top of my deck. That feels... I'm not sure, actually. Which one do I want to do here? So the Bolt is actually really good because it pretty much means they can't attack. Let's do that. Let's go Mystic Sanctuary on top of the deck. Put the Bolt on top. Yes. And then we'll just pass the turn. So now my opponent knows I have Bolt, but I can also cast a Brazen Borrower to block. Let's see how big of power they go here. I can also just take a hit. They go 7/7 here. No effects at the EOT. I draw the Bolt. I'm going to cast Granted. If they have Force or Daze, that's bad for me. And if they have double Bolt, that's also bad. I would like to use Granted's ability, and I will get Pyroblast. And I will pass the turn. So now... Oh, and I can even cast the Fae of Wishes as a chump blocker for 2. Not right now, but next turn. So my opponent can attack me for 7. If they have double Bolt, I lose the game. But otherwise, I have Pyroblast the following turn, plus an attack for lethal. Alright, they're going to get in. I'm at 5. Do you have double Bolt? Well, let's get in. Yeah, I got it. Okay. So, my opponent just attacked, and then, yeah, I have lethal with the Snapcasters and the Bolt, and even if they have a Force, I have a Pyroblast for it. So, yeah, good games, opponent. Main deck Pyroblast is not something I wanted to see, but that's good. Okay, I think we'll probably side similarly to how we did in the other Delver matchup. Kozilek's Return is a consideration. Their mana base is even more crazy. So this is Temur instead of Grixis. So the Blood Moon might make sense. Flusterstorm might make sense on the draw. And I don't really love Hullbreacher or Narset. I feel like they just get bolted or something. Okay. I think I want to cut some number of forces on the draw. And the Fae of Wishes is probably weaker, but I probably still want it. It won't be able to get Pyroblast because those are all coming into the main deck. I think I'll keep the Magus. Yeah, Spellstutter Sprite goes up a little bit in value relative to Grixis because they're not running Bowmasters. So there are a number of things that kill Spellstutter Sprite. It's just the bolts. Maybe it'll just be 4 for 4 like this. And Fae of Wishes could still grab, you know, one of these things if it needs to. Yeah, otherwise I think this is good. Snapcaster is a little ambitious, but Snapcaster Pyroblast is like the nuts. Alright, let's see if we can win this game. See if we can salvage this league. Be kind of hilarious if we lost all of our matchups and then won the 2 Delver matchups. Oh, I guess we won. Yeah, I guess we did win the other Delver matchup. This hand's fine. I'll keep this. It fetches basics and then plays an unlicensed hearse. I might even brainstorm on the opponent's end step to, like, you know, hoping that they daze it almost. Don't really want to see an aggressive start from my opponent, but a ponder would be ideal. That's fine. Yeah, I kind of need this brainstorm to find some sort of removal eventually. If the Delver like blind flips, I'm going to be under some pressure. Which of course it did. Yeah, the unlicensed hearse would be better against like a DRC than a Delver. Like unlicensed hearse doesn't do anything to Delver. Is opponent missing land drop? No. Sure, you can look at my top card. Alright, let's crack the fetch, get an island. And then I'm going to brainstorm here, actually. If the opponent dazes it, I think that's okay. No, they did not, which is great. Yeah, I just want these lands, or I want at least one of these lands. Actually, I'm going to put back the mountain and then fetch the mountain out with the Scalding Tarn to shuffle away the 2 extra lands. Let's see, I'm doing this end step, so actually I'll draw the mountain that way. Whoops, oh well. Still want to fetch that out because I don't want to... this is yuck. Maybe I'll just play the mountain and draw the Mystic Sanctuary. I'll just have plenty of lands. I don't think you want to do that. Let's go like this, and then I guess I'll draw the Mystic Sanctuary, and then I'll shuffle away at least 1 land. Okay, so draw the Mystic Sanctuary, and then play mountain, and play Lightning Bolt. All right. And then I will probably just fetch another island with the Lorien revealed. Thought opponent had land problems, but maybe not. Okay, ponder again, so maybe they're going to get somewhere. Ooh, if they're missing land drops, they're going to be in trouble here. All right. Sleep Curse Fairy's good. Guess I could play it into daze, and if it gets dazed, that might just be okay. I'm gonna open with the unlicensed first. I think that's more important to resolve. And let's just start eating stuff. Ponder and ponder. And we'll play the Sleep Curse Fairy. If they daze it, that's fine. I think my opponents... I think they're in a little bit of trouble here. Even though I have no real clock to speak of, like their graveyard is... Yeah, okay. Yep, that's what happened. So, we won the Delver matchups and we lost every other matchup. We lost to Beans, we lost to Storm, and we lost to Maverick. Well, I guess the deck, you know, it is kind of designed to beat Delver. Like Flame of Anor matches up very well against Delver. The 5 basics match up very well against Delver. You kind of see this deck has some power. And, you know, I think I sort of like, as I was losing a match, I sort of talked about, could you maybe add white to this and run like white removal, like Prismatic Ending and Swords to Plowshares over Lightning Bolt, and then maybe Fourth Aerlingas as another like top end finisher. You could do that, and that's going to make your Delver matchup weaker, right? Or in some ways weaker. Like, Fourth Aerlingas is probably not something you want against Delver. Yeah, I don't know. But I do think this archetype is really fun. It's very, very, very squarely like a mid-range deck, which is in kind of like a weird space. Like it's not enough to beat the Beans control decks. Although I have to say, actually, I've done okay against Beans in the past, but it's not enough to beat like some combo decks. Although we saw like it had some game against combo. I think all my losses were 1-2, and all my wins were 2-0. So, I actually think I lost 6 matches and won 8. So I don't know. The deck actually I felt was a little better, and maybe in the hands of a better pilot, it could do even better. And I will also say, like, I've tweaked some of the lists that I saw here towards being more of this mid-range list, like running a Cavern instead of Wasteland, and running like Fae of Wishes and other stuff like that instead of Delver of Secrets, which reduces the clock, reduces kind of the tempo nature of the deck, but gives the deck like a much easier way to hit the 3 mana and above that it needs in order to cast its like top end spells. Overall, I actually thought Fae of Wishes was okay. Like, I think I cast Granted a couple times this league, and it was, it won those games, or like got close to winning those games. I definitely won the last one where I got a Pyroblast, but like I can't remember against the Beans deck. I can't remember exactly what we got. We might have, maybe it just ate a counter spell or something. But I feel like it was okay. Like Granted did its job. Yeah, didn't get to moon anybody with the Magus or the Blood Moon, but yeah, overall I felt this deck was good, and I think this archetype of just kind of blue-red wizards, or rather just wizards in general with Flame of Anor, is underexplored. Whether you want to play this in Jeskai, whether you want to play this in just blue-red, I don't know, but I think that there's something here. More than the 2-3 finish that I did like merits. Anyway, hopefully you had fun watching this video. I only create a video like once a month or so, but hopefully you enjoyed this and you subscribe and tune into a future video. Honestly, I don't spam videos like every day. It's literally like once a month. So feel free to subscribe. And if you like kind of like mid-rangey creature decks, like check it out. Cool. Have a good rest of your evening.